Then you can do a mic drop.
Then you can do a mic drop, the perfect way to start our show.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. We didn't even start, and we've said so much, we are dropping the mic. Hey, good afternoon. Those of you watching live, you are watching our great show, Uniquely Lutheran. I am Al Ernst, and over here to my immediate left, probably your right, watching television, watching on the TV, is Pastor Jeff Gross, the head lead number one big time dude of
New Life Lutheran Church, Sarasota, Florida.
Hello, Jeff. See?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And it is an honor to be able to be the pastor at New Life, and it's an honor to be a part of this great city called Sarasota, Florida.
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking a little bit about. And for those of you who aren't from Sarasota, you're going to fall in love with it when we're done.
Well, let's not go crazy.
Well, at least you're going to like it.
Yeah. Well, you're going to get some.
You'll hit a like button.
You'll hit a like button, and you'll certainly will be entertained. And as they used to say, maybe if you're not careful, you'll learn something before it's done. Hey, folks, what we want to do is we want to take a basic reset of the show, considering the fact that probably over the last 4 to 5 weeks we have not been live, and I just wanted to take 1 second for those of you that might be new to watching us, what we are all about and how we do this. This idea came to us back during the, as we want to say, the heavy-duty COVID times of early of the year, about what we were going to do as a congregation for our Lenten series, right? And
just Lent, yeah, right. Lent.
Just Lent. And what we talked about was the fact that we really did not necessarily, although the vaccines were beginning to come out, feel totally safe in running a live Lenten service. We decided that we would go viral, go onto the streaming platforms, and we also understood that a great number of our congregation, now some of you will be watching this later on, but a great number of people in our congregation are retired and are usually more watching and doing things at noontime than they would be in the evenings. So we transferred our start time to 12 noon, and what we came up with was a word called Uniquely Lutheran. The other reason we decided to do this is that traditionally everybody starts and does series on a Wednesday, and we thought, why has it always been Wednesdays?
Yeah.
An
arbitrary day.
Just an arbitrary day. Now, we do know that some of you that may be of other Protestant persuasions know that Wednesday is your, quote, prayer meeting night. I know that, and camp meeting and things like that from some of my Baptist friends. However, we wanted to do things really different, and what we said is we were having Wednesdays on Tuesdays, and so we are Uniquely Lutheran. With that, it grew. We did have some good comments, popularity to our show, and we have decided that as a ministry, as you like to call it, Pastor Jeff,
because it
is a ministry. I call it a great show. We have decided that we can give you some entertainment and some fun, as well as some education and some challenge in a talk show format setting. And it's spiritual infotainment, and we're not trying to sell you anything. Right, we're not trying to sell you anything, and we tried very hard throughout our time, and I have tried very hard because as Jeff is, I am an avid internet listener, whether that is video or audio on podcasts, programs, etc. I have several friends that record their own streaming shows. We also know that those of you that have available, you can actually, what do they call it? Something cast the show onto your big screen TVs that we just don't watch it on
right from your cell phone.
Right, and you don't just watch it on your computer or on your cell phone. However, you have the flexibility of doing that. So with all of that, that being said, we decided to bring this to you weekly. We are dedicated to having this available to you at 12 noon on every Tuesday, and we will continue to do that, even though several of our days, especially through these what we call dog days of summer and the availability of our guests, which we will get into here in just a minute, availability of our guests, we will be probably pre-taping and putting out there. But you can expect on your feed, whether it's Facebook Live or YouTube, that every Tuesday at 12 noon, you will get some original content. Possibly not maybe there'll be a partial recording of a previous one, but we promise you every week that we will give you some original content with it. Since all of this has happened, let's let you know that Pastor Jeff Gross has been our interim pastor here at New Life. And then, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, the vote went through, and I was appointed unanimously to be the full-time pastor, the called pastor, and no, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I guess I'm the called pastor. That's a great honor.
It is a great honor, considering he is only our second pastor to be here with us. We talk, and we know that Pastor Bill Steer, who was here for many years and helped build the church, watches occasionally.
I had a wonderful conversation with him last week. He congratulated me, and so we're looking forward to keeping that relationship alive and well.
Absolutely, and say hi to Bill and Lola and the family if you are tuning in down in the Fort Myers area.
Yep.
One of the things that we normally do at the very end of the show that I'm going to do at the very beginning of the show is only because I have a segment that is always called algorithms. Now, this algorithm is not about the church doctrine, the statement of the church, but because I have this platform, and also to let you know, I am a total civilian when it comes to the church hierarchy. Now, yes, I do have a background in stand-up comedy. I have been a stand-up comedian full-time for the past 31 years, which I guess makes you probably as close to an ordained pastor as you can get. Now, I also was a youth staffer, which meant that I worked for the South Carolina Synod for 1 year in the church, which happens to also house the Southern Theological Lutheran Seminary, of which I was able to audit a couple of classes there and realized that I would never make it through. So, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it and have been active with the church pretty much my entire life.
But before I forget, Al is very humble. He is serving the church very faithfully, not just here at New Life, but our synod, and also the connections he's making, and also the greatest contributions made to the Lutheran Church have been made by lay people, not just the clergy, but a great hero of my faith, Philip Blankman, just like Al, not ordained. And yet he wrote the Augsburg Confession, the Apology of the Augsburg Confession, and he built a ton of ecumenical bridges throughout his lifetime after Luther died. And so the heroes of my faith are lay people.
You know what? I have finally figured out what you are, Pastor Jeff. You are the John Meacham of our group.
That would be the highest honor because I'm a history lover.
Yep.
And I love John Meacham. I hope John Meacham's watching.
Hey, John.
I've read about 5 of your books, John. He's a brilliant historian.
Yep, he is
brilliant.
Yes, Pastor Jeff definitely is
and a very devout Episcopalian.
Yes, he is.
Very devout in his faith.
Which is something we'll probably be talking about in upcoming weeks. So getting totally back around, just like Jeff and I do when we have our chats, somebody always has to cut it off because we end up visiting. Our map never stays straight. Our map just goes all over the place, and we get to visiting stuff. And we want to say thanks to our producer, Amy, and a continued hello to our friends in Abu Dhabi. Now, Now, all the way back, algorithms is my personal opinion, not the church's, not the church doctrine, nor anything that was voted on by New Life Lutheran Church. However, we do occasionally, and I do weekly, take a little mantle to kind of give everybody a little inspiration, or maybe share one of my opinions on my own. You see the word equals freedom. You see it written very badly on the Rome. Now, one of the things you're going to find is that our sound quality and our visual quality sharpness, we've got some exciting stuff happening, will increase over the next coming months of show. It's going to be really cool what's going to happen. However, what you will find is that we are the most untechnological, that's not a word, but the most, it is now.
It is now.
We have the least amount of technology in a technology program. Hey, anybody could buy a program, a computer program nowadays, and turn this into a studio quality show newscast with all kinds of stuff on the bottom and scrolls and computer driven pictures. We however stay with our home team, which is whiteboards and magic markers and weird handwriting. So you see a word there from the algorithm that says equals freedom. That's supposed to be an equal sign underneath. And what are you going to say, Al? What equals freedom? Well, this is Al's opinion and Al's algorithm, so he gets to say it. Vax equals freedom. Now, I recognize that even within my own group of friends, we have differences of opinion, but I have to say, I don't think this is an opinion. I think this is a fact. And the reason I say that to you, ladies and gentlemen, is because we all know that what is happening, at least in the United States, and those of you that are not watching from the United States, I know you are eager to get vaccine into your country to stop this, and yet we have ample amounts of vaccine in this country, and we don't seem to, or some of us don't seem to want to get on top of that. When I say vax equals freedom, I mean the fact that we need to not make this a political statement. We need to make this a scientific statement. Ladies and gentlemen, we care about you. We want you to be free of this. And if you look at any news on any network, you can see that there are people, even in our state of Florida right now, in Jacksonville, which Florida right now accounts for 20% of the spread of the Delta variant of the COVID infection that is going on in the United States. They talk to people through the COVID wards, of which people there, 100% of the people that are in this COVID ward, the hospital in Jacksonville, were not vaccinated. Let me repeat that. 100% of the people that are in the hospital right now are not vaccinated. So my question to you, those of you that would debate me or tell me that this isn't real or anything like that, is did you feel the same way? Did your parents feel the same way about the polio vaccine? Did they feel the same way about the smallpox vaccine? Did you not have to show proof of vaccination when you went to elementary school? I don't know about you, but I did. I know my mom had
college and Bible camp.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And therefore, this does not make this a political statement. This makes this a scientific statement. So my longing, my hope, my prayer, everything is just go get the vaccine. Okay? Please. We do care about you, and we want this thing to be eradicated just like they did polio and smallpox. And for those of you that believe that somehow that people have nefarious items like we've heard a great deal of stuff about Bill Gates somehow injecting a microchip into your system when he does the vaccine. Let me promise you, if you own a smartphone, is one of the reasons why this keeps interfering. Bill Gates knows exactly where you are.
He doesn't need to be in your bloodstream.
That's right. He doesn't have to be in your bloodstream. If you have a smartphone, I mean, a lot of people know where you are all the time.
Right.
And personally, from a comedy standpoint, I would prefer to have Bill Gates available to me because that would be quicker to get Microsoft tech support. So
just tap over.
Right, I would just tap over and go, Bill, listen, I'm having trouble with Outlook. Could you give me some guidance?
And as humorous as that is, I just think you don't want people to die.
I don't.
I think that's the bottom line.
That's absolutely right. I don't want people to die. So that is my algorithm. I hope you didn't turn it off in the midst of all that. I tell you again, that is not a policy of New Life Lutheran Church, nor a statement or anything. It is an Al opinion because I care about you. Okay, so that's that.
That's great. Thank you, Al. That's good.
But we are going to move on, and real quickly, what I wanted to ask you, Jeff, before we really get started into really talking about where we're going to be going in the next few episodes, is we talked somewhat on the phone yesterday about our years of growing up within the church,
right.
And you had a fascinating experience in my mind because the area you grew up in was predominantly Lutheran, was it not?
It wasn't predominantly Lutheran. There are a lot of Lutherans. I mean, for one thing, if you lived in my hometown, if you're a Methodist, a Baptist, or a Presbyterian, or Episcopalian, you knew what a Lutheran was. And you knew pretty much what Lutherans believed because maybe we made up 1/3 to half of the community population alone. I lived in a little town that had 7,000 people total, and I went to a church that had over 1,000 members, and a good chunk of Lutherans and different types of Lutherans, which we might talk about sometime. Not just Al and I are part of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, which we're very proud to be a part of, but there are other expressions of Lutheranism too, and we're friends with those other expressions. We're not here to debate or to contradict. We're just here to complement with our own perspective, and so I grew up in a town where there are a lot of Lutherans. I would say pretty close to a majority, definitely the largest single denomination. And it's changed over the course of the years. I'd love to say it's still a powerhouse, but things change. But Al did not grow up in a town that was majority Lutheran.
No, and
he did not.
No, I did not. And I would also kind of joke around in saying that the church in general is not a powerhouse of what it once was. And I would even further compliment that statement in saying that I don't think I believe spirituality is still there, or what people's belief of spirituality is, but organized, I believe XYZ is not, and that's proven by all the polls you've already heard of. But the organization, the quote unquote membership of the church as we know it, really is at probably an all-time low, I would want to say.
It is. So. It was kind of like, I liken it like I told Al a couple of weeks ago. If you have just a tiny little leak in a basketball, you don't notice your basketball's leaking for the first few days. And as the weeks go, you're like, whoa, what happened? It's been a slow leak for a long time. It's not something that just happened overnight. It's something that's been happening over a course of times. It's just one of the things that we are thinking, well, what can we do to remedy this? And what are the ways in which we can do to reach out in this new new era.
And in that, we came up with this idea of talking about your neighbor's faith. And what we really mean by this is that I expressed to Jeff that my exposure when I grew up in Sarasota to people of faith was in multitudes of different types of faith, and really kind of unique, as we're uniquely Lutheran, maybe uniquely Sarasota in our area, was because we, since I came to Sarasota in the 60s, I know that there's been a little strip of land off of Bay Vista Avenue, which is kind of towards the center of the geographic area of Sarasota, they would call Pinecraft, or we used to joke around and call it Goat Town. And within that period of time has grown a huge amount of people of the Mennonite faith, as well as many Amish people as well. They have come into that area. And with that, we're excited to talk about a lot of different faiths, because you don't have a group of Mennonites and even Amish in a lot of communities like we do. Also, those that are of the Jewish faith are in higher numbers, I would say, in Sarasota than in a lot of places. And you said, which was really interesting to me yesterday, because I was totally unaware of this, you said there was a Presbyterian,
large Presbyterian population. In fact, I've got some of my best friends are Presbyterian.
Well, so, I guess they knew.
Is it one of those statements, some of my best friends are? No, actually, there's the Scottish people of Scottish descent came to Sarasota in large numbers and have a very strong presence, and the Church of Scotland is the Presbyterian Church. So historically speaking, Presbyterians have left their mark here in this town and made it the beautiful city that it is. And my ministry has benefited tremendously by the friendships that I've made with my colleagues in the Presbyterian Church, with whom we are in full ecumenical relationship, as well as Episcopalians and United Methodists in United Church of Christ and the Moravian Church. Just in case you're wondering.
Just in case you're wondering, and obviously those that are in the Presbyterian Church already knew that they were going to become good friends with Jeff, because they are predestined to do that. So that's the great part about being in the Presbyterian Church, is they already know what's going to happen. So
that's right.
So no, maybe we'll dispel that myth, or maybe we won't when we end up starting with this series. But over the next course of probably, I don't know, a couple of months, maybe up to 10 different episodes, we are going to be visiting a specific either Protestant faith, and we also want to talk a little bit with some of our brethren. They're in the non-denominational, I can't even say it, the non-denominational church. And what I mean by that is that when I became a high school student, when I was in high school, suddenly a group of new churches that I would call that were heavily evangelical, what I want to say high energy churches came into play, at least in our area, and they have grown massively throughout our area. I mean, all you got to do is drive, and I think that has been the case in other places. However, my friends, what we'll also explore a little bit about is the fact that even those churches have peaked and are experiencing a somewhat of a decline, of what a noticeable decline in attendance and in membership. Yeah. So we want to talk about all those different things over the next few weeks, and then it'll probably get us past our Labor Day holiday and into the fall. And in the fall, we have one of our highest days in the Lutheran Church that comes up at the end of October, which is called Reformation Sunday. We will try to have a lot of fun with that as well. And in fact, if you really tempt me hard, I will probably break out my Luther outfit to wear.
I'm counting on it.
Yeah,
I'm counting on it.
to wear on a couple of those shows, because we know that my good friend Sherry Davis actually put my Luther hat, made me a great Luther hat, and I don't get to wear it as much as I'd like to.
Be one too, just because it's a cool hat to own.
Well, I mean, you put that out there, and her daughter Amy, that we thank again, is our executive producer, so she might be able to.
I'll be Duke Frederick the Wise of Saxony.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
See, there he goes again. He's just knocking out these church historical quotes. But that I think is going to be a really interesting thing. I don't want you to think it's going to be boring. We're not going to be lecturing to you at a chalkboard. What we want to do is have a lot of guests. We want to have a lot of smiles and laughs with that. And also, you see something that I am wearing today, which is you're going, wow, Al's got, you've probably seen it in reverse on some of these, but it says maximum effort. Now, for those of you that are movie fans, you know that this is the catchphrase of one of my favorite characters in the movie Deadpool. This is Deadpool's phrase, to use maximum effort. Well, what I can tell you is that I have been vaccinated. I'm planning to be out there, and between now and the new year of the church, believe it or not, I have checked this calendar, the new year of the church coincides with my 60th birthday. The first Sunday in Advent is also my birthday.
Oh, wow. Your 60th.
My 60th birthday. So between now and then, you are going to see me basically in training camp, giving out my maximum effort to try to make the best shows we can, do the best shows I can do for you live, as well as doing some other really cool things and maybe inspiring you on our maximum effort time with us. So let's have some fun, folks. Let's have a great time with this. And Jeff, tell me what you are expecting to be doing between now and the season that you start getting super, which is Advent into Christmas.
Well, just to kind of top on what we're hoping to accomplish here is there are a lot of people who aren't attending church who like Jesus and the teachings of Jesus. And they said, we're really not into the institution of Christianity. We're really not into being joiners. But we certainly like this person, Jesus, who you worship. And we really like his teachings, especially love your neighbor as yourself. And that's a really nice bridge. Love your neighbor as yourself means that we're required to do a lot more than simply tolerate the person who we live next door to. We're required to love them. And that's kind of what we're trying to do here. And if we do interview our friends from different faiths and different expressions, they will leave here feeling better than they did before they came, because we're going to honor them, we're going to love them, we're going to respect them, and we're going to learn from them, just like we hope and pray they learn from us. That's just my thought. It's just my thought.
Well, and I also mentioned to you two things. Number one, which I should say for an algorithm, but Jesus said, love our neighbors as ourselves, didn't say love our neighbors instead of ourselves.
Good point.
And that is one thing that I probably will bring back, is that you have to take your time and your effort to do something that Pastor Jeff did, as I watched. And by the way, this is a cheap plug that we are on every Sunday morning at 10 a.m.
No, it's not a cheap plug. It's a good plug.
It's a good plug. We have our service live streamed on both Facebook and YouTube. I was not able to make it on Sunday, but I was able to watch the entire service. And Pastor Jeff talked about the word Sabbath and sabbatical, saying that, you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of others. Mm-hmm. And I think that is an important thing to remember as we both go into what I think is going to be some exciting times, is that Jesus gave that example by doing a lot of going out and getting away and praying and resting and recovery and all those other things, as well as then being able to give 100% effort. And non-biblical is always, if you're not at your best, then you're really not at your best for others.
Right.
So.
Right. One of the metaphors I like to point out is it's counterintuitive when you go to an airplane and the stewardess says, if the oxygen falls down and you're sitting next to a child, put it on yourself first before you put it on the child. Every parental and human instinct tells me to do the opposite. But you're not much good to that kid if you can't breathe.
That's exactly right.
You're not much good.
Great.
So taking care of yourself, loving yourself is not selfish.
Nope.
It's actually a very thoughtful thing to do for the people you love.
Absolutely. So we'll leave you with this on Uniquely Lutheran. I will quote one of my all-time favorite songs, which was the 1970s one-hit wonder song by C.W. McCall called Convoy. And that is, we look at you as he called out to make the convoy in the song. Go back and Google it. You'll hear what I'm saying. One of the favorite 11 long-haired friends of Jesus in a chartreuse microbus. So those are the words that we think of you. You are a long-haired friend of Jesus.
Can we close with the prayer? We forgot to open with one, but we'll
definitely close with them because we probably don't want to leave with my convoy comment.
Hey, that's a great benediction. We'll use that on Sunday. Long-haired friends of Jesus. Great God, join us with prayer, please. Dear God, we thank you for an opportunity to be here with you, an opportunity to really talk about things that are important to us, important to our society. We're grateful to be in this unique place called Sarasota, Florida, with multiple different expressions of faith we can benefit from. And may we be good neighbors, not only as people who do, but as people who receive the gift of knowing one another. In Jesus' holy name, amen.
And sorry, God, that I looked at my watch while the prayer was going on. Okay, but we will say this. The Uniquely Lutheran Chartreuse microbus rolls forward. You, my friends, are 11 long-haired friends of Jesus, and we will see you next week on Uniquely Lutheran.